Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of Cast in the Past, where best friends get together to talk about old games in a new light. I'm Josh.
And I'm Tom.
And today we're going to be talking about a mod for a video game, I believe, Tom, right? Our first mod?
Yeah, this is just a fan-made mod of Grand Theft Auto.
Yeah.
Someone went out of their way to put Simpsons characters and Simpsons locations into Grand Theft Auto 3. I think it's really incredible, the work they did here.
I mean, this is crazy. This mod came out in 2003, too, so it wasn't that really long after that Grand Theft Auto 3 came out.
Yeah, this is just really impressive. But no, for real, we are actually going to be talking about the 22nd Simpsons game, Josh. 22 since its debut in 1989. And what are we talking about, Josh?
Today we are going to be talking about The Simpsons Hit and Run.
Yes, indeed. Similar to Grand Theft Auto, not just in the fact that it's an open world exploration game. Hit and Run, Grand Theft Auto, 2 crimes, right there in the title.
A really funny thing about this game is I remember playing this game and I remember beating this game and then going back and playing this game now, 17 years later. I don't remember this game at all.
Would you say this game almost doesn't exist?
Yeah, it's so weird because I remember playing it, I remember beating it, but I don't remember anything from this game. So what happened? I don't know.
Well, we're going to find out, but would you mind if I did some nitty-gritty first?
Take it away. Take that nitty-gritty away.
The Simpsons Hit and Run was released on September 16th, 2003 on the GameCube, Xbox, and PS2, and it was later ported to PC on November 11th, 2003. I think it's interesting, Josh, that both release cycles were within days of each of our birthdays.
Yeah, it is. That's really weird.
This was developed by Radical Entertainment. Josh, do you know what games Radical was also behind?
If I'm not mistaken, they did Simpsons Road Rage, right?
Mm-hmm. They also are responsible for the Prototype series, where you play a supervillain with kind of genetic mutant powers. Okay. It was basically the alternate version of Infamous.
They also made Mario's Missing.
They also made what?
Mario is Missing.
Wow, these guys are legends then. And this was published by Vivendi Games. Now, Josh, do you know what studio Vivendi is now known by?
So Vivendi, no, I don't, but the name is very, very simple. Is it Activision?
Yes, Vivendi is now known as Activision Blizzard.
Okay.
In terms of the Simpsons side of things, this was written by 3 Simpsons staff writers. We have Matt Selman, who was one of the co-writers of the Simpsons movie. We have Tim Long, who wrote the Emmy-winning episode Behind the Laughter, among others. And we have Matt Warburton, who also went on to write for Community and the Mindy Project. And of course, most notably, this game features the entire original Simpsons voice cast, who said that they recorded the equivalent of an entire season worth of dialogue for this game.
Yeah, and you can definitely tell because the characters don't stop talking. Just jumping into it, super repetitive, can be fun at times, but you are doing the same thing over and over and over again. It's the same missions over and over again, and it just gets a little bit increasingly harder depending on your area that you're in or the time limit that's been given to you. But the only thing that makes it enjoyable as you're going through is the cast talking, the conversations that they're having with each other. I think that's what saves it, because people talk about how great this game is, and it's a good game. It's Grand Theft Auto, just much more floatier and much more cartoonier than what we get in GTA, but what's saving it is the cast.
Well, Josh, since you're talking about the experience, let's get right into the gameplay. What are the building blocks of this game, Josh? How do you play The Simpsons Hit and Run?
Well, you play The Simpsons Hit and Run just the same way that you would any third-person action adventure-ish style game. You are in third person, running around, collecting things, driving cars, doing some basic platforming, occasionally hitting somebody. That's really about it.
Gotcha.
Very, very cut and dry.
Well, I want to talk to you about a couple bits of the development. One thing I know this is gonna enrage you. So you mentioned that this game has some platforming, and you said that this game is very floaty. Do you want to know what one of the quoted games is that this development team said they looked for inspiration for the platforming sections?
Tell me.
It's Super Mario 64. a game a game that we've noted in a previous episode Josh hates.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't notice them being so slippery, though.
Well, that's what they said they were inspired by. So if you felt it was floaty, you were probably getting some flashbacks, some PTSD to Super Mario 64. Coupled with that, they also said the driving was inspired by Gran Turismo. I didn't find that true at all. I felt that's an exaggeration.
Yeah.
And of course, the open world exploration inspired by Grand Theft Auto. That's just the most immediate comparison to this game. You can walk around on foot, you can get in and out of vehicles. There's a lot of vehicles in this game, a lot of famous Simpsons cars, a lot of kind of just generic cars. You can get in and out. But an interesting thing about Grand Theft Auto is The Simpsons did multiple playable characters before Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to play as the entire Simpsons family, minus Maggie.
Lisa, Marge, Bart, Homer, and
Apu. Which,
Apu.
Okay, so this is a side tangent here. What's your thought on Apu? Because I know they got rid of him.
From what I know, what's going on with Apu at the moment is that Hank Azaria has said he will no longer provide the voice of Apu. And I believe Apu is being, for right now, just not placed in any episodes until they can settle on an appropriate performer to voice Apu. And my take on it is, I'm a white guy from America, so I probably shouldn't comment on it.
Okay.
But I see value in the idea. Let me just phrase it like this. I think considering how much of Apu's storylines have been tied into his Indian identity and heritage, I think Hank Azaria did a wonderful job, but clearly some members of the Indian community feel like he was being a stereotype. And overall, I guess my take is, if they want to cast an Indian actor, that's great. And an unknown Indian actor is going to get a paycheck to be on The Simpsons. Good for them. Hank Azaria still voices like 20 other characters on this show. So it's just like, for my take, it's fine. What about you? Do you have any strong opinions on it?
No, I don't. I understand the backlash behind it. I think this is why we're not getting a remake of this game.
I was going to say, yeah, this was something I was going to say for the end of the episode, but this probably will not get an HD remaster anytime soon, chiefly because of that.
Yeah. Now, there are HD upgrades you can get for PC, because the PC version, there's mods out there. People have done HD remasters. People have done, different mods and cosmetic stuff for it, but you're never going to get a true Activision remake like you did for Bikini Bottom or anything along those lines, because I think of how much Apu is in the story to this game. And I get it. Does the game need to be remade? I don't really think so. And that's kind of spoiling a lot of my conversation for the end of the episode here. I think it's a perfect... It perfectly sums up the time of The Simpsons when a lot of people were falling out of The Simpsons.
I would say yes, it's both a time capsule for The Simpsons and a time capsule for post Grand Theft Auto 3 mania in gaming. When I think of this game, I think of True Crime Streets of LA. I think of Destroy All Humans, which we've previously covered on this show. Every studio was racing to put their own spin on the open city exploration, on foot, in vehicle freedom that Grand Theft Auto 3 blew up the world with.
Yeah.
So yeah, definite time capsule of a game. Josh, what's your history with The Simpsons, though, as a show? Arguably the most iconic animated show in history. What's your history with The Simpsons?
Sunday nights at 8 p.m., new episodes every day at 5 p.m. and 5:30 p.m. on Fox. You'd be able to watch all the episodes of The Simpsons, and I absolutely loved it. I adored it. I enjoyed my time with it as much as I did. I probably watched The Simpsons all the way up until the movie came out. When the movie came out, That's what I was kind of like, all right, I'm done. I think it's almost 15, 20 years of my life that I've spent with this family. I'm like, it's good. And it's still going to this day, and it's still predicting the future worse, crazier than we are.
Yeah.
But
we'll catch up. Don't worry.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
But no, I like The Simpsons a lot. It's a much better show than like Family Guy or anything like that out there, I still think. Are they a product of a time period? Yes. I think it's a great product of a time when the world was not as crazy. I mean, you think of the 90s, you know what I mean? Like, we talked about the 90s being probably one of the best, the last great decade. But,
Arguably, yeah.
but I don't know. Like, the Simpsons were the 90s. Like,
Yeah, I kind of agree with what you said about the fact that the Simpsons were funny when, like, they were crazier than the real world could be. And now when we live in an era where the real world is so unpredictable and it's sometimes so unbelievable that the Simpsons feels a little tame in comparison. So yeah, I agree. Not that I have seen that the Simpsons has had some groundbreaking episodes in the past few years. That they haven't run out of steam. It's fashionable to be like the Simpsons stopped being funny 20 years ago. They still do their job. And on the Family Guy comparison, I'm just going to say this hot take. I think Family Guy stopped being funny faster than The Simpsons and also has aged much worse than The Simpsons. Like, for all the pot shots the Family Guy took at The Simpsons stopping being funny, like, I don't think Family Guy got to as many good seasons as The Simpsons had overall. Like, their cutoff happened a lot quicker. And then there's certain things like, I'm not saying that like I'm completely sensitive to all kinds of things, but you go back to some Family Guy episodes with, I think there's a lot of the open rape jokes and homophobic and transphobic jokes, a lot of whom come from Quagmire, are really cringy to watch nowadays. In my opinion,
where I think the Simpsons were pretty tame in a respectful manner, right? They still made those pop culture jokes and whatnot. Jokes of the time, but I think they were much more tame and they were in better taste than...
Right. Even when The Simpsons has some jokes where it's like, ooh, that's a little poorly aged and mean, it's not as mean as, Family Guy could have gotten with some of their early jokes.
Yeah. So, let's continue down the path of The Simpsons, though, because I think out of the two of us, I've probably played a heavy portion of Simpsons games growing up. I don't know about you.
Oh, I was completely sheltered from The Simpsons.
Oh, okay.
We've gone over, both in our personal life talking about this and probably on the show, my parents sheltered me heavily from all manner of things. I never saw the original run of Beavis and Butthead. I never saw any of The Simpsons when it actually was out. Had to fight to be allowed to watch South Park just because I couldn't take being left out of class conversations about South Park in the 3rd or 4th grade. I was like, guys, I'm the only one who doesn't talk about South Park,
What if I told you, little baby Josh saw Beavis and Butthead in theaters?
You're a lucky guy. But, I didn't play any Simpsons. The first Simpsons game I played was actually the predecessor to this one. It was The Simpsons Road Rage.
I thought you were going to say skateboarding.
Nah, but the only reason I was able to do that is because I had my own Hollywood Video membership, and I would walk to the Hollywood Video in Shamokin, and I could rent anything I wanted. Obviously, that was not rated R, rated M, because I had like a kid's membership, and I picked up Simpsons Road Rage, and that was probably that, and just like sneaking reruns was how I got into it. And I didn't play this game until now for this episode. I've
played Bart versus the Space Mutants. I've played Bartman and Radioactive Man, Bart's Nightmare, the Simpsons arcade game, which is still probably the best Simpsons game ever made. Road Rage, skateboarding, wrestling, and Hit and Run. I played the opening to the Simpsons the movie game. And that's probably the last Simpsons game that I've played. Or all the ones that I've played, but that's the majority of them, I think.
It's funny how you went from listing the arcade game, which is arguably one of the better, if not the best Simpsons game ever, to saying back-to-back skateboarding and wrestling, which are considered two of the worst Simpsons games ever made.
Yep.
Let's talk about Hit and Run specifically. So this has, fairly standard Simpsons plot that tries to involve as many classic characters as possible. There's this wide-ranging conspiracy happening in Springfield. Buzz Cola seems to be affecting residents in a much different way than it used to.
Not the bees.
So the basic overall plot, I'll just summarize the whole thing, Josh, if you don't mind. Kang and Kodos, the lovable aliens in those little glass domes, they have been putting mind control chemicals into Buzz Cola so that they can turn the planet Earth into mind controllable slaves that will be prime contestants for an intergalactic reality TV show. And Kang and Kodos want planet Earth to have the highest ratings on the show, so their goal is turn everyone on Earth into mind-controlled, weapon-toting monsters fighting each other. And the Simpsons family slowly unravels the conspiracy with the help of Apu, and they're out to stop it.
Yeah, pretty cut and dry story, right? No, one thing that's always weird with Simpsons stories is there's always just three bad guys, right? There's Kang and Koda, and I'm sorry, those two I always put together. And then there's Mr.
That's
Burns.
fine, yeah.
And there's Mr. Burns. That's it.
Oh, what about Sideshow Bob?
Oh, yeah, Sideshow Bob would be when he appears. Yeah, because but that's the thing, though. I feel like it's just those three characters are always constantly being reused as the villains, right? There's no, like, original story to bring somebody else in as a villain. It's one of those things, like, halfway through you're like, oh, aliens, okay, I know exactly where this is going. So there's really no, like, super big reveal or big spoiler or anything like that to it. It's just like, okay, I've seen this happen how many times in the TV series, so let's just play through it, let's get a couple of jokes, and let's get out of here.
I think that's just a byproduct of the fact that maybe you could answer this for me. When's the last time the show has introduced an original character who wasn't just a one-off appearance? They stuck around for a while. Because I feel like The Simpsons has not created new characters since very early into the show's run. Everyone who hasn't died, either like because they were killed in the show or because a voice actor died, everyone who was in the show remains in the show.
Yeah. No, I don't really remember. I don't remember the last one. I remember, like, what, the teacher, Mrs. Krabappel.
Mrs. Krabappel. The voice actress passed away.
Yeah, she passed away, so they let her out. And then Flanders' wife was the other one that left. But that was an event. I remember they were hyping that up.
Yeah, that was like a ratings thing. Absolutely. Yeah.
But no, I mean, I don't remember the last character or last person that they brought into the show. I can't remember it. But yeah, but that's the thing, though. Like, there isn't, like, there's so many characters to The Simpsons. However, there's nobody new. And the only new people are really characters that are voiced by famous people who are kind of on, like, one-offs.
Yeah. Yeah. But like, the biggest one I can think of is Albert Brooks as, like, the evil Secretary of State in the Simpsons movie, who's, like, tricking the President McBain, But I think that's just a byproduct of the kind of show Simpsons is. Like, yeah, Kang and Kodos and Mr. Burns and Sideshow Bob will get used as, like, villains in only certain cases, but most of the conflicts in The Simpsons are, like, character-based, Homer accidentally spends all the family money on something silly, or Lisa has self-doubt and has to learn a lesson, or Bart goes too far with a prank and has to learn humility. Like, it's never... Simpsons is not a bad guy driven show, so when you jump over to video games, it becomes a little difficult because it's like, well, we don't have bad guys. Crap, that's what video games are built on.
Right.
All right, I guess we have to acknowledge that we're not talking about the game too much. We're talking more about the kind of legacy of The Simpsons. But I kind of have to agree with you. This game's not that remarkable.
No. Like the voice acting and the script is. It is great. Sure. It is a great 4 or 5 episodes of The Simpsons, I think.
And I'll just say that, like, in addition to agreeing with you on that, I think this, paired with South Park Stick of Truth, have that magic of getting to explore the world of a show you know so well. Like, I presume this is the official layout, like the actual city map of Springfield, just in 3 dimensions.
Yeah.
And I thought that was so cool, like, driving around and getting to, like, see places like the retirement castle, like the elementary school, things like that. Compared, like I said, to Stick of Truth, where you actually got to walk around South Park as it's laid out and realize, oh, this is next to that, and this is like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah, I think I don't really understand the idea of why everyone thinks this game is amazing. They put it on such a high pedestal. Now, yes, it is a licensed game that relives the world pretty well. But one, it's not the best licensed game. It didn't even make my top 10 of licensed games when we did that episode. I think the only thing that's really good about it, actually the driving mechanics are pretty decent, but just the characters, like, that's it. And I could just get that by watching the show.
Yeah, there's just not much to it. Like, if you want platforming, there's better platformers. If you want exploration, just go play Grand Theft Auto. This is, like, beyond looking at it as like a historical piece or just a curiosity, I would say this is just for diehard Simpsons fans, and that's it. And that's great. If you fill any of those categories and you get into this, fine. But I would not straight up recommend this personally. Because of all the effort you have to go through. Like, there's been no ports of this, no re-releases. It's not on Steam. You either have to get this as an emulator, or you have to, get a used copy on one of the old school consoles it was released on. And
I played it on the
way.
GameCube.
I had to emulate it. So
Okay.
That's what I mean. Like, you got to go out of your way. And in the end, yeah, I guess it just depends. If this does it for you, you'll have a modding community that will take care of you for years, apparently. We've mentioned multiple times, Josh mentioned multiple times, heavily modded by the fan community over the years, new missions, new characters. You'll have a nice, happy family to live with. Otherwise, it's just like, cool, I played a Simpsons game.
Looking at the reviews and stuff like that, the game's got like between 7 and 8s, right? And I feel like it deserves that score, because it is, all right, this is going to be the best praise that I think I can give this game. It is not a THQ licensed game. Like, it's, you can tell the people who did this, weren't rushing to make this game. They actually took the time to create this world, to create this script, to actually try to... Oh, yeah.
Yeah, can I elaborate on that? Because you're absolutely right, but there actually is a development story behind it. Yes, they did take their time, and it's because Radical, A, was trying to put as much effort as they could into this, but B, halfway through development, the Simpsons production company, Gracie Films, was like, we're not really into the script. We want this rewritten top to bottom. And Radical was like, oh crap, are we going to be able to do this? They talked to Vivendi Games, and Vivendi was like, yeah, fine, we'll push it back. And they got the extra time to rewrite the whole script and then make the game
completely unheard of in gaming nowadays.
Like, seriously, yeah. No, I know you're laughing, but that's unheard of nowadays. But Vivendi was just like, yeah, cool. Like, take the time.
Yeah, and that's the thing, though. You can tell that the companies took their time to try to give you the best product for a licensed game, because they know that The Simpsons was very near and dear to a lot of people. So let's try to recapture that magic as much as possible. And I give them so much praise on that. It's just the game that it's in is very repetitive. And that's something that we talked about when we did Destroy All Humans. Was that game, the story was all right, but it was just it was so repetitive. It's, pop the brains, go over here, blow this up, hop in your ship, do this, brainwash somebody. This was platform, drive a car, wreck this car. All right, kick this person, get this item that you need, drive back here. That's it. Now we just got time limits.
So, Simpsons Hit and Run, again, we're saying this, inspired by Grand Theft Auto. This was part of the wave of games that preceded Grand Theft Auto, but didn't do it as well. Like, they were riding the hype and riding the inspiration, but they just couldn't get it as well as Rockstar did. At the point of this recording, we are practically almost 4 years to the date out from when Breath of the Wild debuted on the Switch. And we are now starting to see the wave of games that were inspired by Breath of the Wild hit shelves. The biggest one, obviously, is Immortals Phoenix Rising from Ubisoft, released for the PS5, the Series X, etc., etc. But even the most positive reviews of Immortals notes that it's like, look, it's doing what Breath of the Wild did, but it doesn't have the same polish, the same feel, the same kind of, like, just that magic to it. And that's what I feel like the Simpsons hit and run lives in. It lives in that world of like, I'm not saying that anybody on this team should be like, think their work is lesser or anything like that. It's just when you're trying to chase something else, but you don't necessarily have the it factor of what that happened, you can always tell. You know what I mean? Like there's sincere homages and then there's imitators. And I think this is kind of an imitator.
And you can, but at the same time though, you can take that and you can say, well, it's just a cartoon. It's a cartoon version of it. Right? And that's really what it is. I mean, because The Simpsons is extremely over exaggerated.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And that's the same case with the game, which I understand. I get it. It's a cartoon. It's not trying to be real. Like, the game is self-aware. So
yeah, I guess like Grand Theft Auto's realism was the selling point, and then this one's going too far in the opposite direction. Is that what you're getting at?
Yeah. I mean, it's almost to a certain extent a parody.
Oh, I absolutely, yeah. This is a parody of GTA. It's a parody because like there's so many moments in the game where like the Simpsons characters make little meta comments about like, oh, just stealing cars whenever I want, or oh, this game sucks,
Yeah. Do I think it needs to be remade? No. Do I think it's a good game? No. I think the story is good. Well, sorry. I think the characters are good. I think the dialogue is good. The stories, you can get that by watching the Simpsons TV series.
Sure.
Everything that you see here has been incorporated into the show in the 33 years that the show has been on TV.
And counting.
So, yeah, I don't know. Final thoughts, Tom?
Yeah, I can't recommend purposely going out of your way to play this as it was originally intended. But if it's up your alley, look for the emulation and give it a shot. But I don't know. This isn't something I'm like probably ever going to... Like you said at the top, did this game even exist? This game probably will only remain in my memory.
Yeah.
Yeah, this game will probably only remain in my memory as of episode that we did.
I honestly think like the best way to enjoy this game is like a Saturday night, a group of friends are together having a couple drinks in them, and they just like, oh, let's play some old games, and you just pop that in. And this game is like popcorn though. Like you get it, you have your big bowl of popcorn, and you're just constantly eating it, and it's fine. But then by the time you're done with it, it's like, oh yeah, that happened.
It's something that's easy to do, but in the end, it's not very satisfying.
Right.
There you go.
But that's it for our episode on The Simpsons Hit and Run. Let us know what you think. And until next time, this has been Josh.
And Tom.
And we'll see you in the future. While we boot up the Triflex capacitor, please take some time to subscribe to the show and leave us a review wherever you listen. This show is nothing without you, and any support helps.
If you want to connect with us and discuss the past, present, and future of gaming, please follow us on Twitter and Facebook.
We also have a Twitch channel where we play games for the show and for fun, so come chat with us anytime.
Thanks again for listening.
And we'll see you in the future.